Greetings and welcome. My name is Jake Rayson. I am a wildlife food forest garden designer, and welcome back to my rather intermittent wild forest garden live stream. Today, what's happened is I am doing more and more work for clients now, so the work does tend to be quite. It's quite full on, so I'm spending a lot of time doing it. But it's also doing a lot of kind of forest garden stuff as well, but mixed in with wildlife gardening and edible gardening. So it's a really good for learning process as well. So today I want to introduce to you Undergrove, which is a wildlife edible ornamental garden, and it's for a new build eco home, and it's a relatively small garden. And it's quite tricky, but in that respect quite exciting as well. It's got some lovely features about it as well, despite being, there's a lot crammed in, but there's some existing oak trees here. So I got the name, for every name has like an anonymized project name, so not putting any addresses in or anything. And I came across a William Wordsworth poem, not that I'm a big poetry not that I'm a big poetry fan, I don't know much about poetry, but and I've shown the client some of this already, so let me see. Oh yes, I've got a good old bit of sunshine right the way across there. So let's have a look here. So this is the back of the garden. That's the kind of outdoor office. This is the lawn, and that's the bank at the back here. So the bank is it's kind of interesting. There's going to be a a den for kids right behind that outdoor office. So that will be absolutely brilliant. I've got some ideas about kind of structure. I wanted to keep the price down and get it to fit in with and this is always the way, you want it to fit in with what you've already got. So fit in with these raised beds at the front. But I've got some ideas about that, so that's good. And the path comes up and it kind of goes around and it's hidden as well. So I want to make it quite secluded and quite secure and like a proper place where you can hide out. And if it's raining, it will have a proper roof on it as well. So it's somewhere warm and safe and secure, and nobody knows that you're there, and it will be brilliant. There's possibility for a seating area up here. Not terribly sure which way to face, because that's currently facing west, but possibly pointed south maybe. So there is actually space up here in this. Oh, you can't really see that on the photograph. You can see it here. So there's space up there for a seat. Oops, sorry. And then on the far end, up here, there will be a seating area. Now, because it's on different levels, and you've got to level things out and have the seats there, and you need to make it. There's young kids, there's like toddlers and older folk, and all sorts of different ages there. You want to make it as accessible as possible to everybody. So I have to be kind of very careful about doing the paths. So there's two things that I wanted to kind of not sort out today, but talk about today. Firstly was the material for the paths, and secondly is material for the retaining walls. So what I'm thinking of is to go with like a really low maintenance path. because it's on different levels. Oh, you could use gravel. It is possible to use gravel. I'm trying to get away from using plastic membrane as well for gravel paths. And not the trouble with gravel, but it does. You do have to have a plastic membrane underneath, otherwise you get a lot of weed growth coming through, because there's lots of spaces for weeds, for plants to set seed. So I'm looking at the option of using what's called hoggin, Hoggin, and hoggin is a kind of natural clay, gravel and sand mixture, which is found naturally in certain combinations. But it's a very hard wearing and long lasting path surface as well, and it's natural too. So I'm just thinking about that. So there's different options for the paths, and because the paths, I think, we'll have a look. I'm not terribly sure about the curves and the materials. One of the things about paths as well is that for the edging, you really want to have edging on it as well. Maybe there's gabions on it. Well, anyway, it's going to be looking at the different materials for the edging. If you're going to have metal edging, it's more flexible and you can get a sharper curve on it. So it will dictate the shapes. These aren't, this is just me playing around. These aren't the shapes. But the idea really is there's a path. This is, how far is it? Hold on. I think it's about 3 meters. So the path, minimum width of a path is about half a meter, 0.6 meters. For a single person, and so you want to have enough space here to reach there's a bed at the back, a bed in the middle, and then you can reach from down below. So I want to put a small path down here which runs along the wall. So it's kind of interesting setup down there. So that's that bit. I'm happy about. I need to get an idea from the client about the different materials. So I need to talk about gabions. So gabions is what I would like to put in as a retaining wall. Really, come on then. Here we go. Lots and lots of lovely options on gabions. So this is what I use Pinterest for. Oopsie, sorry, you can't see that. Let me get that up. So this is what I use Pinterest for. It's really to get different ideas together and to use them, to see different options. So like what I love about gabions is that you can get curved shapes, and it's the planting. There's one in here. Oh, where has it gone? Oh, there it is. There's one for planting. You can actually put you can plant them up. You can treat them as a growing medium, and you can use naturally local materials for them to fill them, and you can use them with waste materials, and you can use wood in them. So there's lots of options, and I do think it's kind of interesting and exciting. And this is before you even get on the plants. I find it interesting and exciting, just the different ideas that you can play around with. Oopsie, let me get this back up. So what I am thinking of doing, come here. Thank you. Oh, good Lord. Okay, what I am thinking of doing is also treating it as a woodland garden, because it gets a fair bit of shade. The sun comes from just around this side of the house, so that's kind of northeast facing. So the sun comes around from where my head is, and from this area, and goes across the garden. It is quite woodlandy and quite shady, so I do want to just kind of go with what you've got. So I'm really interested in using ferns as well, because they are kind of low maintenance, and then using climbers and getting climbers up to the oaks, to the lower branches of the oaks, whether it's clematis or whatever it is. So lots of different options, and then the espalier fruit trees lower down, because they don't take up that much space, but they're actually they'll give good coverage on the fencing as well. So that's all good. Now the tricky bit that I've got here is the not mobile mirror. Mobile rig. The tricky bit I've got here is the lawn. So the lawn is quite a regular shape, and firstly you want to have access down here. Now if you've got access, if you put a path onto a lawn, then the path will go across the lawn. So you then have to put edging on the lawn, on the path, and then you end up with like, it's very rectilinear. So what I wanted to do was put a small path around there, and then some sort of I don't know, just kind of get some curve going in here. Possibly that's a path. I don't know. Yep. So that's the path, and then there's a bed in here, and then that also you can then start playing around with a water feature, because it'd be nice to get like a water feature in there. Had a great idea for just playing around with different ideas. Had a great idea for a water feature, which was you can buy half barrels relatively cheaply. They're about £40, and they're actually kind of quite cheap in terms of what you get, the actual volume of them, and the way that they look as well. Because I want to go with the wood, which is going to be used here. Possibly some fencing and some rails for the steps to make it secure. Wooden logs for the steps up, and so it's kind of natural materials. And keeping in that thing is to use a half barrel. I will put some photographs up onto the Pinterest page. This is what Pinterest is brilliant for, is this ability to add stuff and add ideas in. So a half barrel, and you sink it, and this is because there's going to be kids about the place. You want it to be, if you've got it sticking up, it's too much in the way, so you can actually sink it down into the ground. And then make sure that you put gravel or some aggregate around it, so when you bury it in gravel and that way the wood isn't in permanent contact on the outside. The wood is in permanent contact with the earth, because you don't really want to have, I mean, it would last. It's waterproofed on the inside, but not on the outside. You don't want wood to be in contact with earth, because you want to prolong its life. Yeah. So that's just like an idea where you sink it, and then you make sure you get some stones, ways for wildlife to get in and out, and access points in and access points out, and a water lily, a miniature water lily. So there's loads of. It's kind of really exciting to have it as a kind of central part. And you could actually put that in this bed here as well, as a focal point. And then I'm not sure what to do about this area here, with the flow of the garden. I think it goes okay. And then what I would like to do is to put a gabion bed, a raised bed here, which would tie in with the retaining walls up there. And then this, because this is south facing, this gets most sun, and that would be like a cherry, an espalier trained cherry. But this kind of getting some curve and getting some movement in that, and breaking up that squareness, and then you've got to think about the access from here, from the kind of rear door, utility door, and this comes out from the kitchen diner, and it comes out there. Also, I want to put herbs in here as well, because that's the best for Mediterranean herbs. And then start using this space over here. So, and what's nice about doing this is that it needs a bit. I need to do some more work on it, but it is that you can get, the client would like to have a gazebo, the potential to put gazebo up, and that way you're breaking up the lawn, but you're not taking up too much space. You've still got a kind of good usable space, and then that kind of allows you to have a path, and it gets some kind of foliage going in the front. So you kind of got raised beds at the back, and you can have lower beds in the front. So it kind of could work quite nicely. Yeah, I'm kind of excited about it. So two kind of key questions then. Firstly is the gabions. Let me just kind of bring them back. And secondly is the kind of what to do with the space, when that's a good kind of use of space on here. There we go. Right, that's so that's what I'll send off. I hope that's kind of interesting. Me and my design, and I haven't even got into plants. I think this is kind of what happens with a really intense littler space, smaller space. It's you've got to get I want to get the edibles sorted out. There's got annuals and perennial vegetables, but you want to get the form and the shape And I think it doesn't matter what the size of the garden is. So if you've got a forest garden, it's the same thing that you're trying to achieve, is a usable space and an accessible space with nice materials that fits in with everything else. So, and it doesn't matter what size the garden is. So if you are starting out a garden, this is really kind of, I think it's a really good idea to concentrate on the paths and access. So there we go. That's me. That's what I'm up to. So it's not exactly 100% forest gardening, but it's kind of getting there. I hope you like it, and yes, maybe one day I'll do more kind of forest gardening stuff. I've got lots of other projects on the go as well. I'm going to make a £500,000 bid for some national lottery money to set up a Michte square mile in Welsh, and it's this idea of a massive, great, big community forest garden. But that's a story for another day. All right then, I better get on. Okay, thanks for watching. See you soon. Cheers. Bye.